Hello everybody, I'm Travis here. My opponent is going to be Purple Pills. I guess they weren't satisfied with taking the red pill or the blue pill, they just mashed them up together. We get Leyline of the Void out on our very first turn, which means that anything that goes into the opponent's graveyard goes into Exile instead. And our biggest trouble with this deck is that sometimes they don't want to give me 3 or 4 lands. So we'll see what happens here. Oh, look, I have some time. Okay, so the question is, do we play Malicious Eclipse now, or wait for more humans later? I think that it's okay to wait, no, because they might have counters they're adding onto these. So, we just get rid of them. With Malicious Eclipse, they go into exile anyway if the creatures die, so we didn't even need Leyline of the Void for that. But now, they're kind of stuck, aren't they? Our deck is kind of reactionary. I think it's okay for us to take 2 hits here. 2 points of damage. If they put down another creature, maybe we play Rankle's Prank. They're content just to slap land down. Possibly they have counter spells, but also, how about we just get rid of this now since they're tapped out? It has mana value less than 3, so we can surveil. Ooh, hang on. We do have 5 lands. Okay, this will work perfectly. Because now, since they are tapped out, we bring this puppy out.
All who slumber belong to me.
And that audio sound wave will woke up. That sound wave woke up the cat. He was resting peacefully, and then his ears perked up, and he was paying attention. Usually, you can play the TV on full blast, and he'll sleep right through it. But there must have been something in that. Evidently, Ashiok disturbs even the cats. The cool thing about this deck is it's basically a creatureless deck. The only way to get creatures is through Ashiok. And I don't pay any mana for those. They're free, so who cares if they waste spells getting rid of the tokens, right? So since we do have a chance, let's look at the top 2 cards of our library. This one's different. You don't pick the one that goes into your hand. You pick a card, and it gets exiled. So we're going to exile Necropolis. We're going to exile the land. And since they have so few cards in hand, let's go ahead and get rid of them. I'm assuming at this point they aren't hoarding lands. We haven't played discard on them before. They were hoarding those 2 cards, or that card which turns into 2 creatures, I should say. Okay, and what did they choose to get rid of? Hang on, we need to pump up our nightmares first. They got rid of Annex Sentry. So is there a little poison in this deck as well? They don't block at all. Are they going to go after Ashiok? We don't really care. Hellish Norn! Look at that. I think it's time for a Deadly Cover-Up, right? We only have 5 lands still. Let's go ahead and see. Let's see. We don't need that. We don't need any of those, but I'll keep the Ruthless Negotiation because it has flashback. We destroy everything. It automatically goes into exile. And then I'm going to look at the top 2 cards. Ooh. Well, exile Blot out. I'll keep the end. We can't cast the end, and it is potentially more useful, except against Hexproof. Well, Virtue of Knowledge isn't going to do much good where it is now. Let's just get rid of their last card. Which was Glass Casket. Okay. And then we create some more tokens.
Leave no mind unspoiled.
Okay, they have Virtue of Knowledge out, so everything that happens is doubled, which is kind of nice for them. Do you think they have more than one of those? Let's just go see. Planes they're holding on to. They did. They had... I've never had anyone play Woodland Acolyte against me before. What do we got left? Unsettling Twins, Kinjali's Dawnrunner, which you don't usually see, some Siege Veterans, Toby. I'm not seeing a lot to be worried about. I mean, they've got a lot of creatures, so to speak. A backup Ashiok. Yes. I like that. We don't play our land. We get plussed up again, though. I guess we should attack rather than play with our food. We'll just put them out of their misery. We've got an overwhelming advantage here. Oh, we can just finish it this way. Destroy 2 and put a +1 counter on somebody. And they don't wait. We could have exiled something and pumped them up to get lethal damage. And we're done. It's not always so easy. But we get a card out of it too. So, Blooming Blast. Say that 3 times fast. Okay, let's go show you the deck. It's been... I had a deck with the Ballast, and it's actually been July. September, October, November. So it's been like 4 months since I debuted one of the decks that is anti-discard. The key highlight of which was the Ballast, that if you are forced to discard it, it's a creature that comes up in the battlefield. And let me see if I remember how to spell this right. Show the green. There we go. Obstinate Ballast. That was it. So I made a deck out of that. This was back in July when I released it. I hadn't thought it was so many months ago. But I've done these anti-discard themed decks every once in a while. Well, I usually do like once a year. And then I thought, what about the graveyard? How about we do an anti-graveyard deck? Because I haven't really done that a lot. So this is normally something I wait until June to do, because Exile themes, it's like an entire deck built around the concept of Exile. And that's usually something I do for Evergreen Month. But in this case, I had to burn 4 mythic rares so I could get Ashiok, Wicked Manipulator. Every so often, Arena does not reward me with a card from one of the older expansions, and I get tired of waiting, and I want to play with it. So I went and burned some wild cards, got Ashiok. I have only come up against Ashiok maybe 4 times in the last year. Not many people are using this card. But the +1 is look at the top 2 cards of your library. The first one that you select, that's the one that's going to be exiled. The remaining card is the one that you want to go into your hand. So keep that in mind. For -2, you can create 2 1/1 Black Nightmare creature tokens. You see the artwork there to the right. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if a card was put into exile this turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on them. So Ashiok, like a lot of things that Wizards designs, it's a self-fulfilling card. So once you have those nightmares, his +1, Ashiok's +1, will automatically give them +1 counters when you use it. You just have to wait for the beginning of combat. The fun thing is you can exile something before the nightmares exist, and then you activate Ashiok and create the nightmares. But as long as you do it before combat, they still get the +1, even though you exiled something before they existed. So that's kind of fun. When you get up to 7, you can -7. Target player exiles the top X cards of the library, where X is the total mana value of cards you own in exile. There are ways to sort of trick out your deck. I think I probably have to bring in a second color to make the -7 particularly devastating, especially if you want to sort of combine it with the mill deck. Since we've had some cards rotate out, there are some combos that are no longer around. But you also have to keep in mind the top text here. If you would pay life while your library has at least that many cards in it, exile your library instead. So there are other ways to make an Ashiok deck. Keep in mind that you probably want to figure out how to pay life but not die. So I may do more decks with Ashiok, but this is something I've never seen anyone do. So like usual, my brain works in ways that the average Magic player doesn't, at least the average YouTube content creator. So I wanted to create something that you've probably never come across. This is pretty much pure exile, creatureless exile. So we can get information about their hand at any one point. You can choose an artifact or creature card. This is the only way we can get rid of artifacts, by the way. This entire deck can probably be beaten with one red artifact creature. Oh, wait. It's going to be an artifact. Guess which one I'm going for. A single Urbrass Forge can probably wipe out this entire deck. So just keep that in mind. It's probably not something you want to take into ranked. Okay. We have 3 copies of Ruthless Negotiation. They exile a card from their hand, and Flashback lets us spend 5 mana later and make them exile another card from their hand. So just being able to use it once, I think, is value enough. I try and wait and not use it on my first turn if I can help it, just because people tend to just exile lands. I did need some cheap exile, so Anointing with Affliction lets me exile creatures if their mana value is 3 or less. And most of the other destroy cards, either destroy or exile cards that black has access to, are usually a lot more expensive. So this is one of the cheaper ones. It has the limit of mana value 3 or less. I only have 3 in the whole deck, so I shouldn't be stuck with this when I get up against the big guns. But this might come up early enough when I have the smaller puppies that I can get rid of. We've got 1 Outrageous Robbery. If we have enough mana to make it worth our while, we can exile the top of their cards of their library, and then we can look and play at those cards as long as they remain exiled. We have 4 copies of Blot Out. This is from Aftermath expansion. Target opponent exiles a creature or planeswalker with the greatest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers. So we do have ways to deal with planeswalkers in here. For the miniature decks, the Swarm decks, we have 3 copies of Malicious Eclipse. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. If a creature dies that the opponent controls, we get to exile it. This card is not an exile card. This is a card to help me draw cards. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Also, to get lands, I have Realmbreaker, 2 copies, so I can mill the opponent and get lands from their graveyard. And that's combined with a Leyline of the Void. I have 2 copies, but I took 1 out because I wanted to have more chances to get their land than to exile their stuff. But with Leyline of the Void, if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you exile it instead. So all of those Atraxes that are being discarded to be brought back, all those Italis that are being discarded to be brought back, all of the new Valgavoth, all these uber powerful cards, they're all going to go straight into exile. Especially if we get this in our opening hand, because then we just throw it right on the battlefield. We have 1 Consuming Ashes. We can exile any target creature. If it does have mana value 3 or less, we get to Surveil 2, which comes in handy. I've got 4 copies of the End, so we can exile not just the target creature or planeswalker on the field, but also if they've got one in their hand, graveyard, or library, we exile all of them. So if they've used the maximum of 4 copies, we could get rid of 4 threats with 1 card. So this is a clutch card. I don't see it used a lot. I see it used frequently, but I don't see it used as much as I would expect it to in black decks. It's very strange. Everybody's still using cut downs and stuff like that. They're using a lot of the cheap stuff. I have 1 Rankle's Prank. This one does not have exile, you notice. But if I run into a problem where the single removal is not doing enough, I can make each player sacrifice 2 creatures. The most I'll ever have to worry about is if I'm sacrificing tokens from Ashiok. Otherwise, the sacrifice 2 creatures thing is never going to affect me. But we will be able to take care of the opponent. 4 copies of Early Winter. We can either exile a creature or make them exile an enchantment they control. Black for a long time was not allowed to do anything against enchantments. But eventually they realized we're already weak against artifacts. You got to give them something, right? Eventually Black was allowed to destroy planeswalkers. And every now and then they put in something to handle enchantments. And this is one of the cards that you can use to help them get rid of an enchantment. There's not many options for black in terms of that. But we're usually using that on creatures anyway. We went over Ashiok himself. I've got 1 Deadly Cover-Up so that I can collect evidence and destroy all the creatures. I can also exile 1 pesky card from the opponent's graveyard and then do like I do with the End. Go through their graveyard, go through their hand, go through their library, and get rid of any more cards of the same name. And finally, 2 copies of Gix's Command, which is traditional whenever I'm playing black. I think I have 3 or 4 of these copies now, but 2 is enough. That gives me up to 60. I have 4 Hidden Necropolis, so I can discover if I need to, 4 Dross Pits to do additional card draw, 1 Demo Field to get rid of their special land, and 4 Pit of Offerings This, it enters tapped, but you get to exile up to 3 cards from their graveyards. So if I have anything that I've managed to get into their graveyard that I don't want them to bring back, if I have the luxury, if I'm not really starved for land, I'll keep one of these hidden up in my land until it's the right time that I can get maximum damage from exiling 3 cards from their graveyard. And so if you've noticed over the last few years, the Wizards has really used the graveyard a lot more as a tool, as a resource. There's just a ton of cards that allow us to get stuff out of the graveyard. It doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, if you're blue, if you're green. I mean, maybe red has trouble interfacing with the graveyard right now. I mean, they've allowed us to craft things with the Lost Caverns of Ixalan expansion, so even red has things they can craft, and they use graveyard for the fodder. So in such an environment, I think it's tempting. I think we do end up facing a lot more reanimation type things. So here's an idea for you. Just a thought. I had fun putting together the anti-discard deck, and sometimes if you have the Ballast in your opening hand and they make you discard it, they just scoop. They just leave. So in this, I've had some people from the very first time I exile a card from their hand, they leave. The first time I exile one of their creatures, they scoop. We're just going to wait for more stuff. I'll do a Malicious Eclipse on that when the time is right. Not this turn. I'm not expecting everybody to come 3/3s overnight. We've got time to play our tap land. How much? Let's see. Add 1 mana of any color, so they have access to 6 mana already. Whew! That boy is big! And it can attack now! So gross. How many of those do you think they have? How many of those do you think are in the deck? There were 4. Guess what? They can't do that trick again. We've got Tyrannex Rex that we've got to get rid of. They've got a lot of big creatures. I'm not sure that we can win this one, because they've got so much land, and they've got a Tyrannex already in their hand. And along with the Monstrous Rage, and they could play it and haste it. Gross. Alright, we're gonna be down to 6 in a minute. Because they can play the land, they can full cast Tyrannex Atrocity, and then use a Poison Dart Frog to put the Monstrous Rage on it. I might be down to 5. They have so much haste, I need to get to a place where I can put down Ashiok and get some chump blockers. But even that, they've got some trample too, so it looks like Arena found our kryptonite already, actually. But it was still the correct play because I wasn't able to play the end till this turn anyway, so it was good. I had 2 tap lands. It was good I played the tap land when I did, so I could afford to play the end right then. And that has made our opponent pause. We did get rid of 4 big threats. Maybe they've been traumatized. Anyway, we do have some new subscribers. Thanks for signing up. We encourage everybody to subscribe if you've just been tuning in but never hitting the subscribe button. Occasionally I put out a bonus video. Usually I'm trying to put stuff out on like Mondays and Fridays, that kind of thing. Let's go ahead and use Malicious Eclipse now. They could play Monstrous Rage, but there's no reason for them to. Did they just walk away? Okay, I may have to edit this. we're going to keep those in because we have Deadly Cover-Up and we might need to fuel it, so we're not going to exile our own stuff, although I do tend to do it. I also don't make them discard anything because they still do have land. So we wait to see if they play a land, and if they just rope again, I think they lose here, so then I'll just edit out the roping and we'll move on. So hopefully the wait isn't as long for you folks as it is for me. Okay, Morlock, if that's your real name. Your name's going down in the book. Rude. They just left without saying a word. And I think I did mention, that was funny. I think I just got through mentioning that sometimes the first time I exile one of their creatures, they'd leave. I didn't expect somebody who got me down to nearly half death by turn 4 to run away. But they do. I do like having 3 lands at the beginning. You see, for a lot of what I have, 3 is what we need. It's the magic number. Play the tap land. If they can equip stuff in the same turn, they might outscale the Malicious Eclipse. We don't really have a turn 2 play, so we play our tap land again. It's good to get the tap land out of the way. This is probably, they're going to have some sort of creature that can equip things for free, probably. Siege Veteran. Alright, we play a regular one. We exile it. It's mana value 3, so we get to Surveil. Do we need another one of those? We might, actually. They could easily get rid of... So I'm going to keep that. We'll see if that hurts me later. Okay, hopefully it doesn't. We start the mill. And that's good that we get rid of Ossification, because that can target Planeswalkers. They also don't have a lot in their hand, so let's use 1 discard now. Technically this isn't discard, right? It's exile. But we are still forcing them to get rid of a card. But discard has a very specific definition, right? Discard means to throw into the graveyard, so we can't call this discard per se, because it never goes into the graveyard. That's probably the right card for them to get rid of. Aha! So we were right to keep Realmbreaker. Surprise! Hello! Say hello to my little Realmbreaker friend, the Invasion Tree. And say goodbye to your Elish Norn. We don't actually need Realmbreaker for anything else. We equip it. It's a 3/2. See, now I can't get it with Malicious Eclipse. How many of those do you think they have? Let's see. It's weird to spend 4 on a 1 mana creature. They have nothing in their hand. They only had 1 more? Cheap. Oh, they do have Archangel and they have Myrel. So we're not out of the woods yet. And they have Anim, who's very dangerous. But I think that's all manageable. Especially if we can mill away some of their creatures. Like, stuff like that is good. We got rid of a War Leader's Call. We got rid of a War Whip. We got rid of a Siege Veteran.
We can save everyone. This is our fight to win.
Man, I'm just never going to get to use Malicious Eclipse, am I? Okay, we get rid of their Planeswalker at least. Yeah, let's just get rid of this thing. Bit of offerings. We get rid of you. We get rid of you. We get rid of you. Creatures go away. They got another creature. It was too fast. Yeah, this is fine. Pass the turn. Season of the Barrel's good to go away. And why isn't this an instant? Out of all the cards, all the power creep that's been going on the creature side over the last 3 years, why did they make this a sorcery? I'll never understand that. Okay, you are going to be exiled. I can use a Malicious Eclipse on something! It's a wonderful day, folks. I thought that was going to be a useless card for the rest of my hand. I keep milling just enough that I'm getting their one single land out of there. There's a couple of my Rels gone. That's awesome. And land, and land, and land. Got rid of more life linkers. Let's go ahead and use Discover 4. Because I got nothing better to do. Leyline of the Void. Boom. I like me a Leyline of the Void. Let's draw a card. Life is good, life is good. I'm drawing enough of my own land, aren't I? Now, I don't get any more land after this. It all just goes straight into their exile pile. But that's fine. I got like, what, 6 or 7 of their lands? I'm doing nothing but drawing lands myself now. Pass the turn. We are still getting rid of some of the good stuff, though. But what's left? 30 cards that they might be good stuff because they don't have much in the way of lands anymore to get stuff out. Am I just going to mill them out with this one card? Is anything an enchantment yet? These are all artifacts, right? Well, they found a way to create a creature. Should I wait for them to equip everything? They're not going to equip? Oh, I could have used a Malicious Eclipse right there, darn it. That's a sorcery. Yeah, let's start with the mill. How much land did they have in that deck? Exile creature. Let's see, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 16 there. That's 17. 18, 19, 20, 23. So if they use 24, maybe they have one more somewhere in the deck? I'm just going to pass each time. Yeah, so they should have... There should be no more lands in their deck. Period. It's just fun for me to pull these up and look and see what we're getting. The problem with this deck in terms of us is they needed to have a certain critical mass of artifacts that would be useful. Wait, they had 26 lands. Why did they have that many lands? Didn't they need that many just to make it consistent? Menace, Vigilance, and Trample. Yeah, can get rid of that now. I'm not sure what they're holding in their hand, but they're not going to be holding it long. Acrobatic Leap. Okay. Pit of Offerings. What do we want to get rid of? Get rid of Myrel, that sounds good. Can they bring artifacts back? I'm kind of surprised. Oh, hello. Is that 2 more lands? My count's up to about 28 by now for this deck. I'm just going to exile this instead of waiting for them to do all of that stuff for nothing. They did get to scry. Yeah, there is 7 cards left. That was I think they said good game in there. That was a lot of land. Another card. I think I have 4 of those already. I wish Arena would alter their algorithm a little bit. There are so many cards, and they have increased the release order, right? Duskmourn got rushed out too quickly after Bloomburrow. Now we're getting Foundations. If they're going to force feed us this many cards, they should have the algorithm spot cards that we don't have yet and make those the rewards rather than... You know, they can tell. They can tell that they're giving us. Because if we get a card that's the first time, it's coded to show us, oh, this is the first card, this is the first time you've received this type of card. If they're not going to do that... So they can tell. They should be... For as fast as they're releasing content, they shouldn't be stingy with the rewards. I know I'm one of the people that play Arena more often than most because I play it every day, just about. Almost every day. Wow, that's a big creature. That's also kind of big. 3, 4. Yeah, I'm not going to play the Pit of Offerings just yet. Don't have anything to deal with these things just yet, so that's a problem. Alright, now we play one of these, and let's play Ruthless Negotiation. And hopefully they don't have a plus-up spell. If they find a haste spell, a haste card, no, they're just going for land. Technically that's good. I want them to take that out. Thank you. That gives me a few more hit points than if they'd just come right at me. They could have done 14 points of damage to me, though. I think we need to get rid of those with haste, so we're going to look for Rampaging Geoderms, actually. Oh no, I don't have enough. I can just destroy what I got. I can't collect evidence. I forgot. I can't go rifling through their deck and taking stuff. Gross. And the 3/3 out edges my Malicious Eclipse. I think we're dead. I think it was just too fast for me.
Why fight? Simply close your eyes. Go and drink deep of sorrow.
I can get a couple of 2/2s. Yeah, getting a 6/6 down on turn 3, that's gonna do it for me. I needed one of the Anoint counterspells specifically. And look, that has everything has haste, so that has haste and trample, so I'm pretty much dead no matter what. Two Ashioks and not enough removal up front. Well, we won the first 3 or 4 rounds, right? So Arena can't let that stand forever. They got to throw something at us. Did you seriously just mulligan me with one tapped land, Arena? You already had me lose a battle. I'm not playing ranked. What are you doing? 2 Ashioks again in the opening hand. I must have won way too much today. Oh, I haven't had to deal with this one for a while. I just threw away one. You gave me the third one already? The game is rigged. Okay, the problem is there's a number of combos they have to really get rid of my life real quick, so I'm actually not sure if Arena is going to help or hurt me too much. We can play that. I guess we have to play this now. Although that might come in handy later. Malicious Eclipse will come in real handy right now, Arena. Alright, cover it up it is. This gets rid of all 3 at once. They still get a bat out of it. And Ashiok can't do anything against flyers, so that's a problem. All flyer decks can be a problem against this. They're willing to sit there with 6 cards in their hand and just peck me to death. Well,
Let me shape your fears into something beautiful.
let's try something.
We'll take care of you.
Makeshift Binding. Okay, so you get rid of a token instead of the Planeswalker. Interesting choice. Alright, let's get rid of you. Don't need that. I do want to run it with Affliction. Let's go ahead and do some Ruthless Negotiation with them. Was that another Makeshift Binding? It was. Okay, we'll create 2 more of these. Go to combat.
No mind done.
Everybody gets plussed up. We attack. Still not under 20 yet, but in the meantime, we start the middling. And we gained 1 life. Woohoo! That was useful. We can't really stand to have them take any more of our life. We're going to lose enough of it to Arena soon. We're down low enough. The good news is we kind of have options because these are all instants. Ouch. What do we want to do? Let's discard a card. In the meantime, how about we use the end on that puppy? We don't want to see that one ever come up again. One in their hand. Oh, they had 4 of those. Oh, that was a good call. What else is in their hand? Starseer Mentor and Makeshift Binding. Gotcha. Okay, exile one of those other 2. Makeshift Binding it is. There's all my anoints. Swamp or a swamp? We'll exile a swamp. We'll keep a swamp. Everybody gets plussed up. Yay, we finally got him under 20 points of life. Okay, at the beginning of your end stop, if you gained or lost this turn, target opponent loses life unless they sacrifice non-land permanent. We could fix that now, but I want to get rid of Phyrexian Arena, so they're going to do us a favor. Resolve. Sacrifice non-land permanent. I stop losing life. And then we anoint with Affliction. No, wait, we can't use anoint with that one on. We go to my turn. Can remove that stop. Exile creature. Yeah, do that. Now I don't have to worry about losing life each time. This is perfect. Thank you, opponent. I approve of...
Open your mind to me.
Okay, we'll exile that one. My nightmares are on steroids now. 12 points. We need a board wipe, opponent. And then I just rebuild. Ta-da! Where's all the mono red aggro today? We had some hasty green red stuff. That'll put us in our place. We'll do one more. It took me a little bit of playtesting to find the correct mix on this. I started with 2 high mana value cards. So I eventually went cheaper as we went along. Like I had maybe 1 Malicious Eclipse and then I added more in later with further testing. Alright, Leyline of the Void is here. Which means if we do get Realmbreaker out, we're not going to get any extra lands. We'll just throw everything they have directly into the graveyard. You'll notice that we haven't come up against any Reanimator decks. They haven't bothered throwing any discard decks at us either. So, just like with the anti-discard deck that I made and showed y'all so many months ago, if you're tired of coming up and people are reanimating a Tali and a Traxa on you, and you don't want it anymore, just use this deck. Just copy the deck list. If you faced like 3 Reanimator decks already today and you're tired of it, Arena will cut those out so you don't have to face them. It's kind of cheating on Arena's part. I mean, they should have those in the mix like usual, but I don't know which Exile card it is in here. It's not Ashiok. It might be Leyline of the Void. They milled the... I don't think they knew what we were doing to them with Leyline of the Void. They milled their cards. They can't bring anything back, right? Put an instant sorcery or fairy card from among the milled cards into your hand. Yeah, that doesn't work. They could bring the 1/3 down. I can't get that with the Malicious Eclipse. Can I just mill them before they pepper me to death with their 1/3? We've done them a favor, right? We've gotten rid of 5 lands already. Maybe that's keeping them from casting any more spells, though. They might have a spell that can throw this back up into my hand, but I have enough to just bring it back out, and they would be tapped out. So they actually have to wait until they have enough energy on the field to bounce it and counterspell it. Okay, so I think maybe because we did exile 5 lands already, that was what they needed, so they're probably being mana starved now. I don't mind this one so much. I hate it when the opponent starts with only 2 lands, and then that's all they're ever given. I could use more lands myself to cast stuff, but we're not going to have a chance to do that. There go 2 more swamps. They might quit out of frustration, actually. They get maybe 10 more turns. They needed that to be a land, really. Now they have to discard. And someday I'm hoping I'll actually get some more lands myself, but no guarantee with Arena. What did they spend so much time on? They spent time on quick study? Really? I mean, it just doesn't matter at this point. You don't need to spend that much time about it, right? Arena's making sure to give me stuff I can't cast each turn anyway. They have a 3rd mana. They have a 3rd land. They got more stuff out. Actually, let's do this. Now I have to exile yet another card. Let's see if it takes them as long as it did last time. A hint for the newer players, just in case you don't know, when you're stuck on 3 mana, you take your most expensive card and that's the one you get rid of. They got rid of a 2 mana card. That was probably a mistake. But it may work out for them, right? Because all we're getting is no lands and 5-cost spells. And if they have counter spells, then they might be good after all. Aha. Okay, they tapped out. We're ready for that. We do have 1 spell we can cast. Thank you, Arena, finally. We're starving both of us for a while there. And we still have enough to resume our milling. And the stuff that we're getting rid of doesn't seem impressive, but it does add up if they're able to get it into play and use it. Oh yes, draw more cards from your deck. That's going to help you. Wow. I don't even need to mill them for a turn. So we can do other stuff, right? Here. Let's do other stuff.
All who slumber belong to me. Even the grandest ideas start small.
He does like to talk, doesn't he? Maybe they have a spell that can take out a planeswalker? They do have enough lands now. After all of that starvation and all of that land we milled away, and they end up with more lands than I have. That shows you how the bias of Arena constantly. How many? Let's count them. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got rid of 9 lands, and they still ended up with more lands than we did. Oh, they tapped out again. They keep looking over my stuff like they can affect it somehow. Like they can do something. That's the most you can do. It's not going to turn out well. Why would we expect somebody with the username of Grizzly to be playing blue? Okay, first let's see what we got.
Such enticing.
Yeah, we'll take... Oh, sorry. I did that wrong. I took the one I wanted, and that's the one that got exiled. Okay, fine. Let's see. We can go ahead and pump these up. We can attack. If they block, we play Wrinkle's Prank and get rid of all creatures. They didn't block. So in that case, we play this instead. Destroy 2 and put +1 counters on the one that's remaining. Perfect. And we're so close to milling them out, if they have cards that go ahead and get rid of creatures, we don't care. They have cards that get rid of creatures. Who would have thought? Wrinkle's Prank. Sacrifice creatures. Should we discard 2 cards? Sure, why not? Were they holding on to land still? No. Okay, I was going to say. Don't hold on to your land. And we go ahead and create some more creatures. The creatures get pumped up because we exile this turn. It's paint by numbers now. 1, 2, 3. And this deck is performing extremely poorly against us because they have so many draw spells. And they're drawing into a milling type of strategy here. They don't have another fairy, but they could do a little mana sink there. Too bad they're going to lose that one. Okay, which one do we want to exile? We exile the land. We finally have enough land. And card draw. Lots of big choices there. Our creatures pump up on their steroids. 8 points gets them down to 6. And we can play with our food if we want. But they do not want to hang around for that. And there you have it. Not a single Reanimator deck among all that stuff. Woo! Starscape Cleric. Sweet. I might have to make a bad deck before too much longer if that keeps up. Let me show you the deck one more. We call it the Nightmare of Exile. It's your opponent's nightmare because you're exiling their stuff. I do like Planeswalkers. Ashiok looks cool as always. I like the purple colors shades that they did there as well. This is not the only configuration, as I said at the beginning of the video. This is not the only way you can use Ashiok, but I've never seen people use Ashiok in this way previously. So here's a little treat for you. You can put this out. Maybe it's anti-meta, I don't know, but Your opponent will probably not be expecting this, because I haven't seen this used, these particular cards put together in this combination before. So, take it out. Let me know, leave a comment if you have any luck with it, if you like it, if you want to change something in it. As usual, we will thank our patron, Cedric. Thanks for being our patron. There's a Patreon link below if you want to consider joining the support of the channel. And as always, just viewing to the end and liking and subscribing also supports the channel. So we thank you all for your time and attention. And we'll have something, we'll try and do something new and unique for you next time as well. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.